This movie begins during the Prohibition era, a time when the trade in alcohol was illegal. Later, a vagabond named John Smith was driving from SARS to Mexico. From his thoughts, we know that John was always in a state of motion. This time, he decided to stop in a small town called Zero, about 50 kilometers from the US-Mexico border. The town is controlled by two major gangs. One was led by an Islanders criminal, and the other was led by an Italian criminal led by Frieden Yorkshire. When John arrived in Jericho, he saw several members of the gang standing on the side of the road. At that time, a coffin seller even smiled at him, creating a creepy feeling. But before John could step into the retro arch, he got into trouble with the Daily gang. The reason is that John accidentally looks at a woman named Ferdinand, the girlfriend of the Daily, as she crosses the street. This angered the gang, and they wrecked John's car, much to his frustration. Frustration rushed to the sheriff's office to report the incident. But instead of helping him, the two cowardly police chiefs, R.E. and Dad, just advised him to leave town as soon as possible. While waiting for the car to be prepared, he walked to an inn and decided to have a drink at the bar of a man named a Bearded Man. As they chat, John discovers that the saboteurs of his car are members of the Island gang. Zoe explains that the Island and Italian gangs have been enemies since both groups arrived in Grechko, and their constant fighting has caused many townspeople to move to safer places. After keeping John at the Island gang's headquarters, John returns to his room and prepares his gun to confront the men who sabotaged his car. When Ron arrives at the headquarters of the Island gang, he asks them to compensate for the damage to his car. But instead of negotiating, Daly's men tried to sell it. Realizing he was in danger, John quickly pulled out his gun and shot them down first, killing them all. News of John's victory in the shootout spread quickly, and Tracy, the leader of the Italian ICE, was impressed with John's shooting skills. Especially managed to take down the people of the Daily, including one of their best shooters, who is currently in Mexico. Tracy decides to meet John and asks him to work for the Italian team. He explains that there may be an imminent war with the Island gang when their top sniper returns from Mexico, and Tracy needs John's shooting skills. Tracy even offered to pay John a large sum of money. Tempted by John's offer, he agreed to join the Italian band. Soon after, Yoshi asked his personal assistant and girlfriend, Lucy, to lead John to the room they had prepared for him. That evening, John had dinner with the members of the Italian gang. During the Troisi meal, introduced John as their best shooter. However, due to Rio Karen's, my cousin and Tracy's close advisor Zero Viendi agreed with the decision to rent. UGO was concerned that bringing John into the ice might break the armistice they had with the ice island at Grechko, but Strassi didn't care and stood by his decision. Not wanting to cause more trouble between the two parties, Dung decided to return to Zoe's motel. While in the room, John calls a girl to be his friend for the night, but it turns out that this girl is a spy sent by Dolly and his accomplices. This leads to a shootout at the inn where John must defend himself against criminals who are trying to kill him that rainy night. When Tracy heard about the attack, he quickly ordered Lucy to pick up Zwola from the inn. Tracy then gathers all the members of her gang outside the city. On the way to the meeting point, Dung tries to learn more about the mysterious name of CS. Lucy explains that Tracy's name is something special and should not be used arbitrarily. She only called him by name when they were alone together. Shortly after John and Lucy arrived in Yorkshire, they informed his subordinates that the Daily had seized control of their supply of alcohol from Mexico. So UC plans to teach the island a lesson by stealing the Daily liquor truck. On the day of the robbery, everything went according to plan. Local officials, who were supposed to protect the delivery of cordials, were bribed with strokes, so they turned their backs and helped with Strozzi instead of asking for a glass. Thanks to these corrupt officials, the robbery was successful. Duong then meets X at the sheriff's office and asks him to make sure that the girl who is a spy for the couple can leave town safely. John knows that if she stays there, Lee will probably kill her for failing the mission. Dung also revealed to Fear that Tracy's men had stolen Dolly's liquor truck from Mexico. John shares this information in the hope that he will sell it to his partner to make $1,000. He hesitated because he didn't trust John. He feared that if the information was wrong, his life would be in danger. He explains the danger of Hickey, saying that Hickey killed his father when he was 10 years old. After his father's death, Hickey was sent to an orphanage, but when he was 15 years old, he burned and killed everyone inside. Hearing this, John assured me that the information was true and offered to share the money if I sold the information. After a while, Guillaume went to Lucy's room because Strozzi and Joe were out of town. John asks Lucy to give him information about Chelsea because he intends to sell it to Glass. John promises to split the money with Lucy if the deal goes through, and Lucy, who secretly has feelings for John, can't resist his request, especially after John seduces her, and they spend the night together. The next day, Su Lai went to see John and offered him to join the Island gang. Dolly is even willing to pay a large sum of money if John accepts. However, John did not give an immediate answer and said that he needed time to think. After meeting with the Daily, Ron went to Tracy's headquarters and told him that he wanted to withdraw from the Italian gang. This made Joe extremely angry because he suspected that the Daily had offered John a larger amount. John deliberately did not explain clearly because he wanted to increase the tension between the two gangs. A few days later, Hickey Eye had just returned to Grechko to hear that Strassi Eye's gang had stolen his liquor truck from Mexico. This news drives Hickey mad, and he plans to take revenge on Tracy and his gang. The next day, Guillaume went to the car repair shop to check his car. The mechanic said that a few days ago someone came to ask about the owner of the car he was using. Hearing this, John suspects that the person may be Rio, who is trying to get rid of him. Realize that your life is in danger. John decides to pit the two gangs in Grechko against each other. When John returned to the inn, he quickly called Zozo and said that Dolly had learned about the theft of the Ice Island's liquor truck. Dung warns Rio to be careful because there are rumors that Dolly is planning to kill Tracy, who is currently collaborating with a man named Draminer. The police chief at the border, even though John is no longer a member of the Italian cartel, assures Joe that his information is accurate. That night, John meets with Lucy to exchange information about what is happening to Tracy and his gang. Lucy reveals that Joe is preparing to go to Mexico to meet Laminin because she believed John's warning. The next day, Guillaume goes to the island gang and tells them that Joe is planning to bribe a mini part of the gang plan to rob another truck carrying alcohol. John cleverly suggests that Dolly arrest Yoshi's cousin Joe. Hearing this, Dolly is very pleased and pays John a large sum of money in exchange for information. But John only received $2,000 as they had previously agreed. During this meeting, Dooley also asked John if he had decided to join the island gang. Unfortunately, John replied that he was still thinking. This made the Glass angry. Later, the Daily sent Hickey Eye to Mexico to prevent a meeting between Rio and Germani. When Hickey Eye arrives at the bar where Joe is meeting Draminer, he pulls out his gun and starts shooting at customers, including the Mini. UGO realizes that he is in danger and decides to surrender instead of being trapped in a shootout. Meanwhile, John arrives at an old church in a secluded part of Zero, where he meets Ferdinand, who is praying for his lost daughter. Paulina shared her sad story with John. She was once married to a poor man and had a daughter, but demanded a glass from her deep lover Felina, who kidnapped her. As a result, she lost her child. Duong was surprised to see Ferdinand at the church unguarded. Paulina explained that the church was the only place that asked for a glass and didn't send anyone to watch over her. When John returned to town, he met Tom. Tom asks John to help get rid of the gangs in Jericho, so that the town will no longer be harassed by their fights. Tom advises John to continue playing both fans, without fully joining any gangs to help destroy one of them. Tom gives John 10 days to complete the task, and allows him to use any method necessary. Meanwhile, Hickey and his accomplices arrived at the headquarters and announced that they had arrested Joe for a ransom of $100,000 if Chelsea wanted to save him. At the time, the two gangs agreed to conduct an exchange near the US-Mexico border the next afternoon. On the day of the exchange, Sud Ree and his subordinates meet with Hickey, who is holding Joe hostage. But Strozzi secretly kidnapped Felina as a bargaining chip. Instead of bringing real money, I fill my suitcase with stacks of paper. This angered Villi, but there was nothing he could do about it because Ferdinand was still held captive by the Strozzi. Tracy then orders the Glass team to release Rogerio if he wants to save Ferdinand. Out of deep love for Ferdinand, Daly agrees to the deal and takes her away from the scene. The next day, Lucy meets John after being kicked out of the gang headquarters by the CS. Lucy told John that Yorkshire had been drunk the night before and had beaten her so badly that she had accidentally called her by her real name. He felt that he could not bear life in Jericho any longer. Lucy asks John to help her escape from town as soon as possible. Without hesitation, John gave her some money so that she could start a new life in another city. That night, John upped Dolly and said that he had decided to join the Daly-led gang island. However, Ron asked to be paid up front for his services. Measure agrees to know that June is a skilled gunman. John then asks, where's Felina? Pretending to be worried about her safety if Chelsea caused more trouble. Without a doubt, he asked to tell John where Felina was hiding, which was protected by 8 guards. Dung warned the Daily that this number of guards was not enough because he heard that Tracy had hired more than 20 gunmen from outside the town to attack. This worries Dolly, and he asks John to come and protect Felina at the hideout. When John arrived, he quickly stopped the guards who were eating dinner, then went upstairs where Felina was being held by another man. John wasted no time and shot him to rescue Ferdinand. He gives her the $1,000 he received from the Daily and tells her to leave Grechko as soon as possible. Before leaving, Paulina gives John her cross necklace to thank him for helping her escape from the trap of the Daily. The next day, Lai and some of his men went to the hideout to check on Felina. But instead of finding her, they just get bad news from John. John lied that when he arrived, he found the bodyguards dead and the missing Felina. Dory begins to suspect that Trotsky has sent a group of gunmen to kill his men. John explained that he did not return to headquarters immediately because he was waiting to see if Ferdinand would return, thinking that she might have fled during the attack. However, she didn't come back even when hunger came. Dolly seems to believe John's story, but Hickey Eye secretly suspects that John may be behind the attack. Because of this incident, Lai ordered his gang to attack Trotsky. Then, when John returns to Grechko Daily and his men confront him because they have discovered his lies, the Daily revealed that Trotsky was not responsible for the attack on Felina's hideout, but John himself. They discovered the truth after finding the necklace that Ferdinand had given to John in his coat pocket. Without hesitation, he ordered his men to drag John to headquarters and beat him. In that moment, Lai tries to force John to reveal where Ferdinand is hiding, but John remains silent. Daly's men continued to beat him until he was seriously injured. After letting John lie down, he measured the glass and his man walked away. When they returned to check on John, they were shocked to find that he had escaped from the room where they were holding him. Dolly quickly ordered his men to block all exits from the city to catch drones if he tried to escape. They also searched Duyan's bar and inn, but could not find him. Dolly became angry, and in a fit of fear, Duay told them that he had seen John at the casino, the headquarters of the Tracy gang. After the island criminals leave, they quickly meet John, who's been hiding in Zoe's frozen warehouse all this time. Meanwhile, Dolly and his men attack the Tracy gang at the casino and burn the place in the hope that John, who they think is hiding there, will burn to death. The next morning, Duay took John to the old church where Felina used to go, where they met the man who had been waiting for him. Soon after, he and Duay decided to return to Grechko to avoid making Dantley suspicious. Unfortunately, Hickey finds the chair and realizes that he lied when he didn't find John at the casino. Later, Hickey and his men torture Square, trying to force him to reveal where John is hiding, but Zoe refuses to speak. Meanwhile, he witnessed Hickey's arrest of Duay and quickly reported it to John. Grateful for Wei Jun's help, he decides to return to Grechko even though he is not fully recovered. When Ron arrives at the headquarters of the Daily, he attacks Dolly's group of men to rescue Spin because he is on his way to Mexico for business. John asked me to deliver a message to them, saying that he would be waiting for them at the old church. A day later, Lai and Hickey finally went to see John at the church. YG was also there, but because he didn't want to get involved in Jonjin's trouble, he chose to hide when he saw the criminal coming. During that meeting, Lee tells John that he wants to put the past behind him and invites him to join the island gang to work with Hickey. However, John was not interested in this offer. Suddenly, Zoe stepped out of hiding and shot the glass. In the midst of the chaos, John quickly finished the job by shooting Lai to death. Witness his boss being killed. Hickey tells John that he doesn't want to stay in Texas and challenges John to a duel in Chicago one day. However, this was just a ploy because Hickey was actually going to attack John at that moment. However, Ron reacted quickly and easily defeated Hickey. In the final scene of the film, John takes the cross necklace from Dolly's pocket and drives the criminal's car. Continue your journey to Mexico.